Hey, what's up guys? We're back. Coach Ronnie, we're gonna answer another question. Today's question is submitted by Kenneth. What's up, Kenneth? Kenneth's question is, how can I train to increase my velocity when throwing down and lessen my pop time? All right, awesome question. Very important as a catcher, pop time is critical. It's one of the tests as a catcher and how you get compared to everyone else. So it's very important that you do everything you can to improve that pop time. So we have a 4-step answer. The first thing we need to do is understand footwork. Now, when it comes to catching, you need to have the appropriate footwork, which I'm sure you're getting from your sports coaches, so I don't want to really spend time there. What I want to do is I want to help you understand the importance of ankle mobility and the role it plays as a catcher and being able to have good ankle mobility to get you to be in a certain position in the bottom and having the right strength to help pop up from there. All right, Kenneth, let's get into some of the details to this answer. The first thing, like I mentioned, is having the ankle mobility required to give you an awesome receiving position and having strong ankles that are going to allow you to pop up and be able to handle the force that you require when you pop up. So when you think about catching, obviously there's positions where you're just simply with your heels off the ground, but it's also beneficial to have the mobility to go to one complete grounded foot, so where your foot is completely on the ground. So having the ability to go either way is going to help you a ton. And this is a wonderful exercise to use to help increase that range of motion in the ankle. So basically what you want to do is you want to find a slant board. Now, some gyms have them, some gyms may not, so I'm going to give you an option if your gym doesn't have it. Basically, a slant board, it looks something like this. It basically gives you a good angle off the ground, and it's a consistent angle. So basically, you're going to put the balls of your feet on the slant board, keeping your heels on the ground, and in this position, you're going to drive your knee forward, keeping it in line with the third toe, okay? From here, you're going to go as far as your ankle allows. So as soon as your heels leave the ground, so for example, my knee goes this far, my heels eventually leave the ground, that is basically going too far and unnecessarily going way too far. So what you want to do is you want to keep your knee in line with the third toe, go as far as your heel allows, basically keeping your heel on the ground, and then from here you're going to hold for a second and then relax out of that position. So one awesome strategy when doing this exercise is thinking tens. So you're going to do 10 reps where you hold for a second, going back and forth, and then on your 10th rep, you're going to hold for 10 seconds. So 10 reps with a 10-second hold at the end of the 10th rep. And so you're going back and forth, challenging how far your ankle can maneuver and going from there. So now, if you don't have a slam board, you can actually just use a post or the edge or the corner of a wall where you're putting your ankle up against, the balls of your feet up against the post just like this. Try and keeping your heels down, and all you're going to do is drive your knee forward. Again, repeating the same process, the 10 program where you're basically driving your knee forward 10 times and holding on the 10th rep. If you happen to have a plate, so for example here we have a rubber plate, I could put the balls of my feet here, heels on the ground, and that's going to be another option for you in case you don't have the slant board. But in my experience, the slant board is the best option for that. So that is going to be one of the most effective ways for you to improve ankle mobility. Again, very important as a catcher, so you have the ability to go from a flat-footed position if needed. The next thing I want you to understand is arm strength, okay? There's not a lot of crazy secrets about improving arm strength. It just takes dedication, determination, and consistency that will help unlock a stronger arm. But the thing I want to talk to you about is shoulder health, specifically exercises you can do to improve and strengthen your rotator cuff. Your rotator cuff is critical to throwing, and it helps protect your shoulder. So we're going to go over a couple of exercises that are going to help keep strong strong arms, specifically improve strength in that rotator cuff. The next thing we're going to talk about is shoulder health. The thing I do want to highlight for you is rotator cuff health. As you get older and continue to play, chances are you're going to play more games and not less. So you're going to be expected to be throwing more over the course of every year as you continue to play baseball. So the demand on you, on your arm, is going to be greater and continue to increase over time. So the health of your rotator cuff is critical, and the sooner you start to understand and value it, the better off you're going to be. So here's one of the exercises I recommend. Now, I have these bands here available to me, but the thing I want to talk to you about is you don't necessarily need these. There's a lot of awesome options out there. I know Jaeger bands, they have an awesome band you could use. I'm not affiliated, I don't know them, but I know they're a great option for this, and I think every serious baseball player should have some type of tubing in their baseball bag, so they can basically be ready to go at any point. So basically, this is going to be an awesome training tool. Like I said, this is something that we have here, but if you don't, you can find any type of tubing anywhere. So the first exercise, you're going to basically think about moving through your shoulder blades and creating the letter Y. So the letter Y. With your feet directly underneath you, your palms are going to be facing away. With your arms straight, you're going to reach up and over, thinking about pulling your shoulder blades back and down as your hands reach the top of the letter Y. One of the biggest, most important details about training your rotator cuff is understanding the size principle. Basically, all that means is as the resistance increases, as things get heavier, more motor units are required to work, or they will work. The more muscles are going to be involved, and the bigger muscles are going to start to be involved. So basically, as things get heavier, the bigger muscles are going to start to work and to make that happen, to make that movement happen. So with that, knowing that, you're going to make sure, the goal here is to make sure that the intensity or the resistance stays light. This should not be heavy. This should not feel hard and or heavy, because then the bigger muscles of your shoulders are going to start to work. And that's not what we're going for. We're going for the smaller muscles, the stabilizers in your shoulder. And in order to do that, we need to make sure that the resistance isn't too heavy. Okay, that's a very important key. It's not about going heavy. It's about getting full range of motion and getting a lot of reps in each set. So again, feet underneath you, arms are straight. From here, you're going to pull your shoulder blades back, getting into the top of that letter Y. Another detail there is you want to step far enough back so that your shoulders are protracted. Basically, your shoulders separate, and that's only going to happen if you're standing far away back where there's a little resistance from the tubing. So again, here's an example. So in this position here, you can notice my upper back is slightly rounded, and that's just simply me separating my shoulder blades. So creating this wide back effect where I round and basically have my shoulder blades separate and move along my rib cage. So in this position here, I'm going to now bring my shoulder blades back and together, locking out overhead. All right, so a wonderful way to approach that is maybe 1 or 2 sets of 20. Again, high reps so that we can start to condition and strengthen the rotator cuff. Again, keep the resistance low. Now, if you don't have access to bands or tubing, I'll say, tubing is exactly what we're looking for here, not necessarily high resistance bands. But if you don't have access to the right amount of tubing, then what you can use are light plates. So something that weighs a pound, maybe half a pound or anything like that. Again, we want to keep the resistance low for that. reason I explained earlier. So again, light plates are going to be key here. These are 1 pound each. You can use something that's as light as a quarter of a pound, half a pound, stuff like that. But now the position, the posture has to change a little bit to use gravity to our advantage. So what you're going to do is we're actually going to be in a hinge now. So with your feet directly underneath you, knees are bent, butt is back is flat. Again, I'm going to hold the plates in each hand, and with my thumbs up from here, I'm going to think about lifting up, keeping my arms as long as possible as I slowly lower back to that start position at the bottom. All right, so there's a whole long list of exercises you could do to strengthen your rotator cuff and keep it healthy, but I think this is one excellent exercise you can do to make sure that your rotator cuff is in a good place. So add this to your daily warm-up when you know you're going to be throwing a good number of throws down to second, third, or first. You want to make sure you get that rotator cuff ready and primed so you can reduce the likelihood of injury. And as you continue to progress, that's going to make a massive difference to your ability to throw. And also, again, a reminder, making sure your ankles are mobile and flexible. And so you want to think about adding this stuff as you get into the weight room and in the gym to make sure that you have the right mobility and your ankles are healthy enough to get you from that crouched receiving position to that throwing stance. The third thing I want you to understand is how important leg strength is going to play as a catcher in improving your pop time. Part of improving your pop time is not just arm velocity, but it's how your feet maneuver. Your ability to go from this receiving crouched position to popping up and actually releasing the ball. So we're going to train your legs to be explosive. We're going to show you some exercises and go over those and how to do them correctly. All right, Kenneth, let's get into the third part of our answer, and that's leg strength, specifically being explosive. When you think about your pop time, arm velocity is part of your ability to improve that. The other part is going from your receiving position to your actual releasing position. Okay, so all that time in between, if we can be more efficient with that, be more explosive, that's only going to help reduce your time. Okay, so let's talk about a few exercises you can do to help improve your explosiveness. The very first one, it's called a box jump, okay? And maybe you've done these or you've seen these, but here's a couple of things I want to highlight, and that is the landing mechanics. How you land on the box is going to be pivotal to your ability to do this for a long period of time. So, when you land on the box, you want to think about landing in a good athletic position with your whole foot on the box. You don't want to land on your toes. You don't want to always be landing on your heel. You want to get to the position, or you want to build up the habits that allow you to land in a good position over and over and over. So consistency is going to be key. Okay, so that right there was a good way to work on that, is starting with your feet narrow, and all you're going to do is leave the ground and slide your feet out to a good landing position. It seems very simple, but it's going to help your body understand this motor pattern, basically this way of moving, and ingrain it, so it's a habit. So when you do box jumps, you want to think about slowly increasing the height. You don't want to go from walking in through the doors and going straight to a high box. You want to slowly progress, not only in one session, but you want to progress over the course of months and years. Okay, so you want to make sure your body's adapting at a good, safe rate. So here are a couple of box jumps, a couple examples. All right, so as you'll notice, there's a little counter movement. Basically, that's loading my hips, my quads, my hammies, my lower half, including my arms, which play a big role when you're jumping. Okay, so when we're talking specifically about the box jump, our arms play a massive role in our ability to generate force, create momentum, and so you want to make sure you're loading the arms. So basically loading and then extending, exploding, pushing through the ground so you can get vertical and then landing on the box. All right. Now, if you consider the rotator cuff exercise and the box jumps, they're on the opposite end of reps and sets. So when we talked about the rotator cuff, we were talking about high volume. So reps of 20 a set of 20 reps. The box is going to be sets of 5 to maybe 8 reps with rest in between your sets. Okay, so the reps are going to be much lower here because we want to make sure that the height is consistent and fatigue doesn't play a major role here. We are not looking to fatigue the muscles, the legs, the body, because now it turns into an endurance exercise. The goal here is to be fresh, to be explosive, and that is going to be dependent on a low rep count and big rest. Okay, so very important there. So once we've done that, the next exercise, exercise number 2, is going to be a lateral jump. Okay, so now here I have a low hurdle, and I know it's not tall, I get it. But you can play with this. You can find a bigger hurdle, a higher hurdle. You can set 2 hurdles next to each other and increase the distance between the hurdle. So now the actual distance you have to cover and the lateral force you have to apply is going to have to be greater. So there's different ways to challenge your ability to jump sideways. So don't take for granted the power of having multiple hurdles or a very high hurdle. So the second exercise is a lateral jump. Basically, feet are underneath you. You're going to load just like we did before, and then we're going to push off. One of the keys here is to have a little weight shift towards the direction you're jumping before you leave the ground. That's going to kind of get you going in the right direction and making sure that you are applying pressure down and out versus simply jumping straight up. So, again, reps are low, and that kind of goes for all the exercise in this section, in this part of the answer. It's low reps, it's big rest, so we can keep the output, the energy, the intensity high, and get the most out of these exercises. Third exercise is going to be a 90-degree turn lateral jump. Basically, it looks like this. So, now I am turning 90 degrees in the air. So I'm starting to challenge spatial awareness, but more than that, it's training your body to land in a good athletic position from a different start position. And that's going to mimic a lot of what you're doing when you're catching. You're squared off with the pitcher, but the goal is to eventually get to this night turned shoulder position that's going to allow you to create some velocity when you release the ball. So that's a wonderful exercise that I think you can benefit from to help train this turn when you're throwing. So the fourth exercise is called the kneeling jump, and it's going to look like this. And one of the things to consider, these exercises are increasing in complexity and difficulty. So you want to make sure that you are slowly progressing through each of these exercises. You don't want to basically turn your phone off and go straight to this exercise. You want to make sure that your body's slowly adapting and learning how to handle each exercise the right way. All right, so here are a couple of examples of the kneeling jump. From the side, you'll notice that I turn my foot so my shoelaces are on the ground. That's going to make it a little harder. It's going to force me to have more explosive hips, and it's going to make it better. find that to be too hard, you can keep the balls of your feet, or at least you can curl your shoe underneath you, and you'll find that a little bit easier. The fourth thing I want you to understand is how we can use medicine balls to improve rotational velocity, which in turn is going to help improve arm velocity. So doing medicine balls is a great way to train rotational explosiveness without taxing or fatiguing your arm, saving your bullets for the actual field. All right, let's get into the fourth exercise. We're gonna improve your ability to rotate, going specifically from the catcher stance. So this is a med ball catcher's shot put. So it's gonna look like this. Okay, so we're looking to use the proper footwork as a catcher. Basically, you're going to go from a receiving stance, you're going to go right, left, there's rotation here, you're rotating your shoulders, and then you're going to shot put through the med ball. This is an awesome way to improve rotational explosiveness without actually throwing. So it's going to save some bullets in your arm, but we're still learning to create this power through this rotational element. Okay, so again, this is a wonderful exercise that you can do to improve velocity without actually having to throw. And you want to make sure that you're using a light medicine ball, something that weighs 4 to 6 pounds, not too heavy. Again, we want to make sure that we're moving fast and explosively, not slow and heavy, okay? Because it needs to be specific to throwing as a catcher. So that is the fourth step, and we look forward to hearing and seeing how you improve from applying this to your training. I look forward to it. The goal is here to get better. So make sure you keep us updated with how your progress is going. And stay tuned for more information. We have programs, we have different things we're working on to help you be a better athlete. Stay tuned. Hey, get your training questions answered for free. Just click the link in the bio.